Hello, and welcome back to Raging Loop. Let's load up the game. After a bit of rest, we had tons of things to do. The top priority was cleaning up Mamiya and Haru's remains. I wanted to help, but they stopped me since something might happen in the mist. I couldn't help with the food either, probably because they were wary of me too. I couldn't blame them, considering what I said. In a way, they were now more distant with me than last time when I was just a pure outsider. I continued watching the people carefully do what they had to, making sure there were no blind spots under Takumi's guidance. I wanted to win. I'd gotten this far, so I wanted to defeat the wolves. Though that was actually just a part of my desire to survive and expose the things I had no choice but to keep quiet about. I'd said all that horrible stuff in order to protect Meiko. Just wanted to finally find peace from the stuff that bothered me. That felt like escapism, though. It seemed like proof that my mental state was weakened, and I didn't like it.
By the way, Fusashi, you said we would win at worst the day after tomorrow. Do you think it's possible to win tomorrow, then?
As everyone worked and I had nothing to do, Kionosuke, who wasn't too involved in the work, whispered that to me. Yes, I do. I didn't know if everyone else believed me, but I did feel like I was close to the conclusion.
You cannot tell me why, I assume.
No, not yet. I couldn't let anyone find out that Meiko was the spider. In fact, if I tried to survive after someone found out what she was and that I prioritized my own survival over hers, I would be the target of everyone's scorn. That was how complicated my current position was.
Well, I suppose it cannot be helped. That aside, you, seem to be getting close to Rikaku Uematsu.
Well, I knew he'd be curious about that. Incidentally, Rikako had insisted on going with Takumi and the others to mourn the ones lost. We decided that it wouldn't be bad to get together if we both survived the mists.
I see.
What was I supposed to say here? Rikaku Uematsu is important to you as more than just a fellow village head? Just so you know, it's not all set in stone yet. Why not tell her how you feel?
Oh, that wouldn't do. I'm just clinging to the past.
Oh, is she your ex or something?
Hardly. Though it's just the spider's family. She is still the head. A second son like myself is a poor match for her.
And I'm a nobody. Going by that logic, we're worlds apart.
I would like to say that's true, but this is a time when the feelings of both parties are important, at least outside this village. I spent a long time outside, so I understand that all this praise and censure binding her are just relics of an age long gone. That's why I believe that a man who doesn't have such bindings might be able to make her happy. After the mist came, I eventually came to think that way.
I'm not sure what to say here. I still think that she's the one who'll have to make the final call.
That is something just between you two. I know full well that I have no say in the matter, but what she bears as the bedroom woman servant would be quite a strange and heavy burden for you.
What do you mean?
It's not really my place to say, though I am willing to consult you about most other matters.
I'll appreciate it. He then gave me a business card. Kinosuke Nosoto MD, graduated from XX University. Doctor? Wow, so he really was an elite. It wasn't for a specific job, it was just his personal info. Was he looking for a new job? It had his email and phone number on it, and it felt like a relic. Looking at it prompted a bit of nostalgia even. The bedroom women servant's role, huh? Was he being considerate, or was it some sort of warning? It didn't seem like I could ask any further, especially with all the people here, so I would just take it as goodwill and move on. I didn't think much of this, but I had absolutely no idea that I would catch a glimpse of a new kind of darkness from the Uematsu family and Fujiyoshi as a whole. The cleanup was over, and everyone returned to eat.
I imagine you're tired, Please eat as much as you want.
Thank you. Kaori was a good person. I didn't know everything about her, but she treated everyone with respect, keeping her relationships proper and bright. I knew for sure that her personality was supported by her sons. She'd arrived at Fujiyoshi, had to deal with their strange customs, lost her husband, and was sent here to Yasumizo, where she'd lived for over a decade. Her mind was actually very frail at this point, and without her sons to support her, she would easily break. However, even if it came from a strained mind and heart, goodwill was goodwill, and conscience was conscience. Not to mention that she didn't do anything bad yet. The fact that I checked my bowl for something green despite that made me realize how ill-natured I really was. Unfortunately, that was just how I was, so I would at least keep up my mask and effectively give them conscience of my own kind. I sat down, put my hands together, picked up the chopsticks, and ate the rice gruel. Like always, it was simple, beastly, yet still good. I only felt that something was wrong with it a bit later. At first, I just thought that I burned my mouth or something. But suddenly, couldn't feel my mouth at all, and after an unnatural sensation that overwhelmed my tongue and cheeks, I lost my sense of direction. My body twisted, and right as a dull pain went through my head, I fell to the floor. I'd been poisoned. I could understand that clearly, but all my processing power went into dealing with the unnatural feeling attacking my body. I couldn't see properly, couldn't breathe or speak. Despite that, I still had a burning pain in my mouth and an urge to vomit along with unbearable agony. I couldn't understand what was happening around me. It was probably pure chaos, but I was struggling to even breathe. And it was only getting worse. A sudden, intense impact hit my back. My body jumped and then I puked. Fusashi. My breathing stabilized for a moment and I could hear a voice, as well as see something. A wet floor and my own hands. However, the nausea didn't end. The spasms made me feel like my chest was turning inside out, and I soon puked again.
Ew, what is this? What, right after he ate it? The only thing here that potent is wolfsbane. Anyone else eat it?
I did. Most of us did, actually.
Horrible, you... It wasn't me. We gotta make him puke it out. Do you have a rubber hose?
Hose?
To clean out his stomach. I've never done it myself, but I have no choice. Connect it to the tap, hurry.
I couldn't understand what they were talking about. My burning throat was a clear message that this was lethal.
Haraki, hang in there. Gotta give him CPR or something.
I'm not dead yet.
We do, but only after we clean out his stomach. Clear the path. Boil some water.
Someone was treating me somehow. I could tell that much, but I also knew it was too late. I was strangely calm about it too. So this was the end, huh? Like I figured, making it to the end as the snake was pretty difficult. What about next time then? What was I supposed to do to move forward? Shit. I wanted to bring as many memories as possible to the next time around. I wanted to hear what they were saying, memorize it, and analyze it properly in the next loop. That was unlikely though. All my memories of my final moments so far were pretty vague. I was fated to never die, yet to die many times. It was a really interesting thing to think about, but not even those who returned seemed to be given the key to the mysteries of the final moments. Shit, no, his heart is... no. Even the pain was becoming dull. My mind was on the verge of fading.
Everyone, please leave.
Huh? Rika?
Yes? I will take in his poison.
Everyone suddenly fell silent, and I thought this was because my senses were fading. However, it was actually the opposite. My senses were absurdly clear considering the situation. This could have been a pre-death lull or perhaps some sort of delusion. I would have preferred to die while paralyzed, though. Clearly feeling the pain of death wasn't exactly a good time. That was a weird statement to make, but the absurdity was lost on me. Suddenly, I felt the light past my eyelids grow weaker. Once it was almost completely dark, I realized it was because the windows were closed. I slowly opened my eyes. I couldn't see clearly, but only because of the dim lighting in the shut dining hall. I moved my head, but it felt really heavy. My heart had almost stopped pumping blood. My pulse was dull and weak. I was certain I would die soon. But then I felt Rikaku approach me. Her expression wasn't clear to me, but her breathing was strangely loud. She was panting, but trying to endure it. I felt that because of the slight quivering in each of her breaths. After wiping her mouth, she brought her body close to mine. No, she actually straddled me. Though she was in a position where she could look down on me, she looked at me with upturned eyes. That, in addition to her bashful expression, made it clear that she was about to do something sinful. She stopped hiding the intensity of her breathing. Her small tongue, wet with saliva, was peeking through her mouth. Okay, what is happening? And it was extremely lustful. I could feel her warmth on my abdomen. With her every breath, I felt the hardness of her pelvis despite all the cloth between us. Even though I was dying, or maybe because of it, the feeling of the opposite sex on me awakened the instinct, the man within me. I love you. Her voice felt like it didn't belong to her. A refined, traditional woman. A woman that appeared younger than she was. A clumsy woman with some unfortunate tendencies. A mysterious woman. None of that was there. She was now lustful, bewitching, overpowering. The enchanting, mature lady squirmed as if suffocating in her familiar black clothing. As I noticed that, she reached for the edge of my shirt, lifted it up, and went in with her fingers with practiced motions. They were cold. I could feel them on my skin, passing my belly button, making me moan lightly. Okay, what is happening? She then reached her other hand in and moved them both without restraint. As her arms went deep inside, her palms caressed my torso and her fingers lustfully searched for any sensitive spot. Despite my confusion, it made me moan over and over. She was toying with my near-mortal clarity, which was both confusing and a bit uncomfortable. Yeah? However, I didn't resist. Because my limbs were weak from the poison? No, that would just be making excuses. I enjoyed that she was having her way with me. It was exciting, numbing, and paralyzing. However, when she reached for my belt and tried to undo it, I somehow found the power to put out my right hand and try to push her aside. It was a feeble gesture, but enough to get the message across. I see. Her whisper told me that she understood me, but was somewhat indifferent about it. Very well. She moved and backed away to the side. As her warmth faded, the coldness from the impending death came back. This might hurt a bit, but... She then smiled and took something out of her sleeve. Relax. An ice pick? It seemed like a Japanese-made awl. Upon seeing it, I couldn't understand anything anymore. She going to make love to me? Torture me? Kill me? I couldn't understand, but it appeared that my resistance from a moment ago left me completely powerless and unwilling to do anything. As my vision grew dim, so did my senses. But then I felt a pain in my left shoulder. Had she pierced me with the awl? That was the last thing I thought and felt before losing consciousness. My eyes opened, and I sat up. Haraki. Chimi was right next to me for some reason. She was holding my hand, crying her eyes out. I'm so glad you're alive. She then rested her forehead on the back of my hand and began crying even more fiercely. I looked around. This was the dining hall. Everyone else was here too. But they all wore conflicted expressions. Chimi was the only one openly expressing how they felt. What happened? I actually had no idea for a moment, but then... Right. I almost died. What saved me, though? And why did I feel so good? It was like I'd had a full night's sleep. Hard to believe I was just on the brink of death. Sorry, Chiemi, can you, yeah, sorry. It's fine, I just... What happened?
You've been asleep for about 5 hours. It's dark outside now, but not much has changed.
Nosato, what happened to me?
Aconite poisoning. The symptoms were so bad that it should have been impossible for you to survive. But for some reason you're alive. I believe I must congratulate you.
His tone seemed to be somewhat sarcastic, but he was probably just hiding how suspicious and uneasy he felt. He was eyeing Rikaku, who was standing near the window, looking down and comforting Meiko. He wasn't the only one. She was the center of attention here. Wonder, disbelief, reverence, worship. Prayers really do work, huh? I had little doubt that was what he actually thought. Do they? I don't remember much, but thank you, Rikako. Well, she's changed clothes.
I simply fulfilled my role as an Uematsu. It's fine. All that matters is he's alive.
I didn't agree there. Being saved by some religious rite was just as ridiculous as this death loop I was trapped in. Prayers? Religious rites? Did that experience really qualify? I reached for my shoulder and felt fresh bandages. The cotton was bloody, meaning she really had stabbed me. Did she suck out the poison? That couldn't be it. I wasn't bitten by a snake. I'd ingested aconite poison. You couldn't just suck that out of the bloodstream.
I shall take in his poison.
She had said that, right? Take in my poison?
Yes, because taking in the corruption is one of the Uematsu's roles. That perhaps my role here is to take in the hatred of everyone present.
The role of the Uematsu.
What she bears as the bedroom woman servant would be quite a strange and heavy burden for you. The spider are bedroom woman servants. That was why the Uematsu of old had the role of protecting the dreams of the villagers. Yes, the Uematsu were also responsible for funeral rites. Our faith might have some roots in Buddhism as a result of that duty.
Huh. So that was how it was. I understood now. And I also understood how frightening the Uematsu were. However, there was something more important to worry about. Tazaishi almost died, and Uematsu saved him. Could be an act. A reasonable thing to suspect, but if he can really make the act of stopping his own heart, he could make a living out of that stunt. Chikamoshi, you saw him, right? Those were real symptoms. Yeah. Eating wolfsbane is no joke. And Richan ended up like that isn't... Wait. Richan ending up like that isn't a joke either. Stop it. I just realized that her black clothes were gone. Oh man. Zaishi and Uematsu are humans. So. Wait, it wasn't Mom. There it was. Everyone was here, but Kaori alone seemed to be in a different position. She was deep in the room, sitting, probably forcefully, on a chair with a pale face. I wasn't the only one who ate the rice gruel, right, Yasunaga? Yes, no one ate any more after you were poisoned, but there was probably none of it in the pot. I believe the bowl you ate from had poison applied to it. Or some was poured into the food after taking it from the pot.
No, I didn't do it.
Oribe, I'm not accusing you. I'm simply saying that it's fair to consider you the prime suspect. We can't absolve you of responsibility because we haven't formed a counter-argument yet. That's it.
I understand. I was the only one at the counter then, but it wasn't me.
The bowls were on that shelf. No one was watching it, so it could have been anyone. That's the wrong way to look at it, Yasunaga Oribe. Everyone could see it, so if something strange happened, someone would have noticed. Also, you were the one who brought the balls out to be used. Are you saying you are the culprit? No, I had no reason to do that.
True, and it's not like there were names on the bowls. The only time you could target him specifically was while the food was being served.
I know, but think about it. Mom would have been the first suspect even if Fizaishi wasn't the one poisoned. What would be the point of her killing someone in that situation?
Yasunaga, I hate to say this, but
She may have wanted to take out the snake even if it meant dying in the process.
Takumi joined the exchange.
He was right. Logically speaking, you're the most suspicious one here, Kaori. That's what everyone thinks, not just Kyo. Even I'm starting to suspect you a little.
Takumi, you too?
I can't let Kyo get all the hate here.
How unlike you.
But personally, I do trust Kaori.
What's your reason?
If she had to kill someone to protect Yoshitsugu, she'd kill everyone, not just Fuzaishi. She wouldn't make any excuses for it either. You're a scary mom with serious guts.
Yeah. He was completely right about her. Takumi knew her so well and still fell for her, huh? He was serious about her. It made me want to cheer him on. In that case, I had to make it through the night. I'll trust you too, Kaori. Zaishi, do you have a reason? Well, the circumstantial evidence might not be in her favor, but it's cancelled out by her nature as a person. Also, I want to trust Takumi's analysis. He believed in me, after all.
Thanks.
What do you say? We can't hang any more today. We'll worry about it tomorrow.
Good point. Anyway, it's late. Let's go to bed.
Mom, I'll help.
Oh wait, that's him. Mom, I'll help clean up.
I'll do it too. Gonna use the stuff here. Thank you, you too. We left the family free and went outside.
Hey, Chi, where's my gun? It's fine. He's better now.
Actually, found it. Ah!
To my surprise, the hunting rifle was placed against the dining hall's wall. But
where are the bolts? I threw them into the mist.
Kanzo grunted in displeasure, snatched the gun from Mochi, and went off into the mist.
Man, I'm no good.
She chuckled emptily. There were still dried lines of tears down her cheeks. It's fine. We had to take it apart, and if it went completely missing, we'd have assumed you took it with you.
Me? Oh, as a weapon.
Yeah, wouldn't want to draw suspicion, right?
Man, this is such a pain. I'm tired of walking on eggshells. Can't the mist just go away already? Don't worry, everything will come to an end tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going then. Good night.
As he left, Takumi lightly tapped my shoulder.
You said your recovery was a miracle. Don't waste it. He gave my shoulder a firm squeeze, then left. Of course, I would do whatever I could to survive. I'm going to.
Sayuki, good night. Haraki, be careful.
Yeah, good night. Ikaku didn't speak or even look at me until the very end. I crossed my legs and sat down on my futon. I wasn't tense anymore, probably because I was used to it, or because I wouldn't die tomorrow. I just didn't feel like sleeping, though. I actually felt really good. Why had I survived? Was it really aconite? Even I had heard that real aconite poisoning was lethal. What if it was actually some weird poison that just made it seem like you were dying, then fully recovered afterwards? That kind of trick would be kicked out of the Rookie of the Year Mystery Novel Award in the prep reading.
That's the wrong way to look at it, Yasunaga Oribe. Everyone could see it, so if something strange happened, everyone would have noticed.
What would be the point of her killing someone in that situation? I could relate to them both. Kionosuke was right that it was unlikely to be pure coincidence. And Yasunaga was right that it was an unlikely risk to take for someone who didn't need to. All this thinking about who done it and why made me feel like I was in some mystery novel. Though since I could easily dispel all the suspicions on Kaori, I could more or less see how it was. The very premise was wrong. So, I knew exactly what I had to do today. I took out my notepad, wrote down the name Yoshitsugu Oribe, and put it near my pillow. Suddenly, there was a knock on my door. I quickly became tense again. Visitor? Now? Right after I almost died? I decide what to do after seeing their face. Wait, we wrote down Yoshitsugu. The premise was wrong. Potentially. So, what we're assuming here is that Yoshitsugu is the one who actually put in the poison, or that it was Kaori, but she did it for some reason to protect Yoshitsugu. I'm not sure why. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I know why she would protect Yoshitsugu. I'm just like saying I'm not sure. Whatever. But then I realized this hut didn't have any way for me to look outside the door. However, there were spaces between the boards of the door, most likely warped by changes in humidity. I peeked outside through them. Chiemi? Another knock. Who is it? I went ahead and asked. It's me, Chiemi Senizawa. What is it? I want to ask something. Well, ask away. Shouldn't you be sheltering right now? It's dangerous outside, isn't it? Sure you should be here? I'm okay. There's still people walking around. Can we talk? I don't mind if it's through the door. Sure. I realized that I can't do anything. I'm a huge failure. I've been causing trouble for everyone here ever since I was little. That's why I studied hard, entered a college, and went outside the village. Did you know that the only way people from Yasumizu can leave is either going to college or finding work elsewhere? I didn't actually. You have people who work away from home? Yeah, Takumi left once. His mom and dad are outside too. News to me. Yeah, his dad is sickly, so he goes outside every now and then. Then why is he here? The incident... No, the feast 8 years ago killed a lot of people, and he returned to help clean up, but the people that were still alive weren't enough for Yasumizu to function. Taya depended on him too, so he... I see. That's why Takumi didn't know about the last feast. The rest were in Kami Fujiyoshi, right? Yeah. So no one besides Kanzo and the old wolf guy were here. Oh yeah, Haru. Haru was so lonely at night that she left the school we were staying at all by herself. Then she went through the mountain path and... Huh? She was in Yasumizu too? I don't know. The adults said they found her in front of Yasumizu and there were rumors she saw something there. I don't know if that's the reason why, but she started acting weird afterwards. People said she was possessed by a wolf. It came as no surprise, but Chiemi still had info that I didn't know of. Had Haru caught a glimpse of the feast? But that would mean that she too survived the Feast of the Yomi Purge. As things were, there was no way to leave Yasumizu when it was engulfed by the mist. I didn't know if you could enter it, but it was natural to think you couldn't leave after doing so. Thinking rationally, she shouldn't have made it to Yasumizu in the first place. But her possession. If she'd seen something in the mist without ever making it to Yasumizu, could she have become afflicted with some trauma or something divine because of it? I see. So you rose. You've tried again several times, have you not? If I wanted to find out more about her, it was too late for that this time. I could have been wrong, of course. There was probably a lot more info for me to find, not to mention I couldn't go back unless I died. Also, I'd decided to save the humans, so I would see it through to the end. Of course, that included her. Sorry. Anyway, why did you think you're useless? I mean, I can't vote right, nor can I think like Yasu or Takumi. Yasu and even Nosato are doing whatever they can. If you ask me, you're the reason why no one crossed certain mental lines.
What do you mean?
We grew accustomed to killing and unfairly punishing each other. In a way, we're already insane. Still, we'd surely regret it if we killed people purely for revenge, and we were absolutely in danger of doing that. And I kind of think that you've been racking your brain trying to avoid that at all costs. That's how it seems to me, anyway.
Did I miss the mark?
Sorry, I don't mean to act like I know everything about you. I'm just saying that people have what they're good and bad at, and I think that you're a valuable asset in your own. How do I keep. What? All of a sudden, her voice cracked briefly, weighed down with sorrow.
Why? Why are you so nice? I'm useless. Even when you collapsed, all I could do was cry. Just say it. Tell me I'm in your way and that I should die.
Why would I say something I don't mean? It wouldn't help anyone.
Say it. I can't hate you if you don't. I love you, Haruaki. I can't bear it anymore.
This wasn't an admission of love. It was an SOS, if not a plea for death. Do you hate your home?
I do.
Everyone here too?
I hate them so much.
As if that's true.
But there's no place for me here.
In the end, she was someone who'd abandoned Yasumizu. Even if there was space for her to live, she just couldn't adjust to this way of life, and her thinking was no longer that of a Yasumizu inhabitant. However, moving away didn't solve all her problems either. She saw a glimmer of hope in her homeland and returned here, or so I assumed. But she didn't get what she wanted and suffered in vain, and to top it all off, she was caught up in the feast. It must have been incredibly painful. So that was why she treated me so nicely when we first met. There must have been a profound emptiness in her heart. But I couldn't return those feelings during this loop. I'd already accepted someone else.
I get it. Rikako was cute, isn't she? I had no idea she had superpowers too, though.
Superpowers?
You took away your poison, that's why you survived. It's amazing. I don't stand a chance against that.
You're charming too, you know.
Then go out with me. Play with me, hold my hand, take me on a bike ride far away. Let me spend all day sleeping in your arms. Open this door.
I could do that. That would be an empty gesture. Being granted false hope only led to greater despair. So I didn't open the door. I couldn't.
Liar.
I lied?
Not blatantly, maybe. You let me get my hopes up, then just left me hanging, and now you say you didn't lie?
So mean.
So cruel and unfair. Just awful.
I might have underestimated some things here. Trying to save someone you'd given up on was just naive hypocrisy. In the end, you need to be prepared to never see them again. But that only works when you'd been physically separated. I was probably the only refuge she had left, but in this mist there was nowhere for her to hide. She could only attack herself in a roundabout manner by criticizing me. And
I want you to reject me properly.
No matter what happened here, it wouldn't end well. Worst case scenario, she could disappear into the mist again. Could I really write it off as simply drama between a man and a woman? But I'd already decided. The moment I opened my mouth.
What are you doing here, Serizawa?
Rikako's voice.
It's nothing. I'm just being pathetic. Night is for sheltering, and as the snake, Vizaishi is in danger. Should you not be more considerate? You're walking around too. As an Uematsu, I must perform what nightly patrols I can. That's just an excuse. Someone will die regardless, and what could you do if something did happen anyway? Even you could be a wolf, right?
Stop it, Chiemi.
The head of the Uematsu family, a beauty, a woman of character. You're not very popular in Yasumizu, but everyone here thinks you're a good person. In Kamifujiyoshi, you're actually respected and revered. You have a place to return to, but none of that matters, does it?
Chiemi.
Don't say my name. Rikako might be a wolf. She might be a terrible person. This might all be an act. I am human. Anyone can say that. What matters is whether you can get someone to believe you. And you used superpowers. Of course everyone will believe you. Of course he'll love you. I don't stand a chance against that. You have everything I don't have. You even took hierarchy. That's just too cruel and unfair.
She didn't want to hurt Rikako. She only wanted to hurt herself. But as one who could do nothing but hurt her, I couldn't say anything.
You are misunderstanding me.
How?
Haruaki simply gave me hope. He merely lended his chest to me. In fact, he refused my indecent request. Even as he was dying, he clearly rejected me. There is nothing between us, and never will be.
You're lying. You're just playing it off.
Rather, I am the one who has nothing. I am a hollow woman, possessing only the Uematsu family's crest, history, and faith. I do not have a place of my own either. I do not even have the power to cling to salvation. My entire body and mind was sold off to Shinai-sama.
What do you mean?
Once the mist clears, I intend to finish my business here, hand Meiku to the police, let the flow take me away from here, and accept where I end up. But you're different. Once the mist clears, Yasumizu will surely accept you. Your cheerfulness, strength, and consideration gives everyone hope. This is where you belong, and I have no such place. And Fusashi belongs elsewhere. As those born in Fujiyoshi, we cannot dream of spending our lives with him. Let us go back. I will take you to your room.
No, I don't get you at all. It's not that complicated. If you love each other, then date and do whatever you want.
I cannot do that anymore.
Why? She's right. Yeah, Rikako had my thanks. She gave me the best way to deal with this.
Fusashi,
I want to ask the head of the Uematsu something about the feast in Fujiyoshi. However, I won't open the door. Chiyomi, you can go now.
No way.
If you don't believe that much, we wouldn't have worked out anyway.
Then I'll stay here.
What would you think if someone sat in and listened as you went over your history with men?
All right, I'm going.
I had no idea if she really understood, or understood it the way I intended. But she could probably tell that we were about to speak something unpleasant.
Haruaki, once the mist clears, do what you have to and do it right.
Backing down was part of a proper breakup.
Good night.
I could hear her walk off, then nothing. Uematsu.
Let me apologize for one thing.
Yes?
I showed you something unsightly earlier.
If we weren't in this situation, I'd have actually loved that.
Please don't say that.
It made the mood less tense, but wasn't quite enough. Then I'll just ask, was that an act or something? Or a mask you wore when you had to fulfill your role as Uematsu? I could hear her gasp.
You knew?
That response proved my assumption was correct. The bedroom woman servant. I should have questioned the lewdness, the derogatory nature of that term a bit earlier. The Uematsu were the Fujiyoshi head family in charge of the night, including the secret matters related to it. They weren't just the night watch and people in charge of funerals. They also handled the nightly affairs of men and women. That meant they were Fujiyoshi's local sexual service providers. As the head of the family, Rikako obviously knew how to handle such things. If I had to guess, all the Uematsu girls were given such a role. Also, I imagined that taking in the poison and corruption was closely related to bodily intimacy. I didn't know much about historic Japan's ideas of medicine, but I knew about the Chinese idea that lovemaking and health were closely tied together. Well, even if it wasn't something like that, knowing the human body, they could have easily formed the logic that it released negative energy. Spiders ate their prey by melting their insides and sucking them out, and boy, wasn't that fitting. There was also the Jorogumo, the orb-weaving spiders. who shared their name with a yokai that was linked to many lustful stories. In the West, the female spiders that ate their males were called widows, and the black widow was extremely poisonous. Unnerving, elegant, and sexy at the same time, spiders were unique creatures. Did you just call spiders sexy? Spiders were unique creatures that created webs they used to catch their prey and consumed them by melting them with poison. I could understand why equating them with evil women and enchanting ladies was so universal. And just now I practically asked her if she was that. I was more or less right. Fujiyoshi was once a place where hunters thrived, attracting many outsiders, a lot of whom were rowdy. To keep them from going after the local women, Fujiyoshi had to train specialists with the right set of skills. The Uematsu gained influence by placing their own relatives in that role. Also, prior to that, the Uematsu had some religious significance, turning their monopolization of sex into a sanctified act. Their influence must have spread to birth and child rearing as well, and the yoke of tradition made them very powerful. The Uematsu successfully gained control of the darkness most living people encountered by donning the filthy title of bedroom women servants and facing that darkness head-on. The Miguruma controlled through the public side of faith and politics, the Higuchi handled food and smithing, new info, while the Nososo handled medicine, among other fields. I'd wondered where the Uematsu came in, and now it all made sense. But as time passed and their family business ceased having a place in modern society, their influence began to decline. War, the drop in demand for hunting, and the spread of diseases from the outside had made the Uematsu lose relevance. And the final descendants of the family had neither the originality nor zeal to adapt to the times and survive. Because of our role, we did not consider protecting the bloodline to be important. If an Uematsu girl gave birth, the child would be an Uematsu regardless of who fathered it. They would be taught the family's teachings, rites, some absurd laws, and become true Uematsu. The head would always be a woman, who also worked as a bedroom woman servant, and if she had a daughter, that daughter would be the new head. But if she did not, a different qualified girl would inherit the role. The Uematsu were bound not by blood, but by ideals. And if Fujiyoshi rejected them, we would be a hollow shell of our former selves. And it is not like any of the other three families would want to merge with us. The head of the spider's family, the priestess of the spider, had a dark background befitting that title. And the future was bleak for her as well. The Uematsu were an unnatural relic of the past, and by cutting them off, the other three families would be able to further modernize themselves. Despite no chance of the family recovering, Rikako Uematsu was born into an unenviable position and grown to be another bedroom woman servant. Difficult phrase to pronounce. I wasn't capable of claiming I could understand her. It wasn't an exaggeration to say we lived in different worlds. It would have been absurd to even claim I could take on her despair. You are truly gentle. I couldn't understand what she meant at all, so I thought about it for a few seconds before I would ask. You heard all that, yet you did not curse me as filthy or talk me down. But this gentleness hurts. If you simply cursed me, I would find it much easier to give up. I think I understand how Serizawa feels now. Okay. We cannot say that, we need a key, so unfortunately we have to tell her to give up. Why did the locals think it natural to put themselves down and give up on what they wanted? Was it common for local breakups to be considered the woman's responsibility? Or were men the ones who dumped while the women simply continued pining or something? Was it a custom? All I'd say to that was eat shit. But perhaps the ones making the mistake were the ones who fell in love with girls like that. Is that
enough?
Can I ask just one more thing?
Yes.
You're a family head. Do you have anything to do with the secrets behind the feast?
No. I do not know what the Miguruma are thinking, but the bedroom women servants must be of no value to them.
Then why were you so certain you could let me escape?
The silence wasn't too long. I am a descendant of an old family that lived in superstition. I used my powers as such to take in your poison. I thought that perhaps I could use it to let you escape. There is nothing more to it.
That made sense. And now that she used divinity as a basis, there was no room for me to argue.
Is that enough?
Yes, thank you. I believe you. I guess it's time to sleep. Hope we see each other again tomorrow.
You shall not die tonight. The spider sent to us by Shinai-sama will protect you.
She was basically saying that she would protect me. When you say that, it's strangely believable.
Uh-huh.
Nothing. Give my regards to Mako.
Certainly. Why?
I'll probably mention this again tomorrow, but if I ask you, please tell the truth. That will end this game. If you're not with us at that point, I will take Mako to the police.
Thank you. I believe you.
That was the end of that. Still behind the door, she gave me a boring goodbye and left. Remarkably fatigued, I collapsed onto the futon. It was pretty thin, so the hard floor below hurt my shoulders, but I couldn't be bothered to even react. Did I actually just break up with two women in one evening? It hadn't even been that long since I'd broken up with Mitsushi, and I'd already made a habit of it. Did we actually know her name? I was like, I know who it is, but I can't remember ever hearing her name. I'd gone on a trip because of a breakup, only to find more of them. If I couldn't escape, maybe I'd be happiest if I just came in through Saranaga like last time and enjoyed some time with Chiemi. Or was there a better path to take now? I couldn't tell anymore. Wolves were out and about tonight, yet here I was thinking about this stuff. Was something wrong with my head? Well, there probably was, but this wrongness was different. Still, I saw how things would go. There was one thing that bothered me, though. Would Rikako survive? That question, no, worry, remained floating in my brain. I tried to let go of my consciousness. I think that was the sign for wolf. Did we get a key? Or was that just not important? If we're not actually getting a key, then... Well. Okay. Then I think I will just... But I think it was the sign for wolf. Nothing I woke up to came to me as a surprise. I hadn't died. I'd known it would be that way. All that remained was figuring out how to end things. I merely had to find a compromise between what was happening and what I felt. No. There were two more things to consider. The wolves could go out of control before the feast even began, and I didn't know who I had to mourn today. It was 5 in the morning and everything was still covered in mist. I could see things better than at night, but not by a whole lot. Was Kanzo patrolling again? He was no longer like he had been yesterday morning, so I could hope that he was, but he no longer had a gun. The fact that he, a confirmed human, was patrolling like that was actually pretty good for us. I carefully took a step forward. The wolves were liable to appear from the mists at any moment, so I snuck around just in case. However, this was a world of mist and ominous silence. As I walked, the grass swayed and the crunching of the gravel felt loud enough to be heard by the entire village. In fact, even the sound of my heartbeat was deafening. To hell with this, I had to pull myself together. If they were coming, I surely would have heard them too. I just had to stand still to know if I was in danger. I didn't hear anything. There was no one. Or perhaps everyone was hiding. As I began suspecting that a murderer was about to pop out of the nearby bushes, I stopped running. I went to the side of the road and hid myself. I carefully thought about the situation. If you looked at the feast as a game, the judges were mostly uninvolved in its progression, leaving it to the players. They only dispensed supernatural deaths to those who killed more than one or humans who walked around at night. It was really minimal intervention. On the other hand, though, that didn't mean they would stick to the rules and keep the number of victims under 2. And so far, the sides that were cornered tried to kill people even if it meant getting the death penalty. It happened every time. In other words, observance of the rules wasn't valued, meaning that having more deaths than allowed was not a problem. Not only were the humans unprotected, but the wolves who saw justice in the real story were entirely capable of disregarding the corruption to commit murder. Looking at it that way, I had no idea what the Game Master Great Lord Shinai was trying to accomplish. Did he just want to see bloodshed? In that case, why the roundabout method? He was the god of the mountain. The corruption was his law. The Yomibi were the enemy, but it wasn't clear whether the ones sent to Yomi were the humans or wolves. It made so little sense. If the corruption was the power of Yomi, it wasn't even clear where the boundary between the mountain and Yomi was. In other words, it was safe to think that the mountain and Yomi were the same thing. Shinai was both the mountain and Yomi, a two-faced god who split the Fujiyoshi people worshipping him into 2 opposing factions on a whim. His aim was this very bloodshed. The mist, the village, everything here was like a colosseum to him. A hunting ground, basically. To be overthinking things. However, the fact that the rules weren't strict, and the punishment wasn't swift, created an opening. There probably was a way to clear the game with minimal casualties. I had to make it through this situation, though. I made a gamble. After taking a deep breath, "Yeah!" I screamed at the top of my lungs. Then hid. If Kanzo or Takumi heard it, they were bound to come. If it was a wolf instead, they would make a move, wondering why something serious happened without their knowing. They couldn't catch me off guard if I hid and watched from the shadows. 5 minutes passed, yet I heard nothing. What if everyone was already dead? That was impossible. Maybe they knew what I was thinking and were now planning to ambush me. I was just guessing, but you never knew what could happen in this mist. My next option was to sneak around and look around the whole village. I would move swiftly and in short bursts. I'd make noise for sure, but it would also make it harder for any other potential lurkers to find me. The Okiba were large and had decent amounts of space between them, making them good hiding places. I ran and hid. Then I held my breath. Nothing was happening. Not thinking much about it, I repeated the process. I ran and hid and stayed quiet. I ran and hid